Welcome to the Dynasty Owner Podcast. What's up, Jay? It's week one.
Hey, how's it going? I know I cannot wait for some football tonight.
I know. Well, we're just so people know you're listening to this on Friday morning or sometime later. But Jay and I are recording this on Thursday morning, so we've still got like 10 hours, almost 10 hours to wait till football starts. So, oh no, more than 10. No, 10 hours roughly. I can't count. I'm so excited I can't count. Jay's sporting his TJ Watt jersey and his hat. Usually he's got a Dynasty Owner hat, but today he's all Steelers all the time apparently.
Yeah, it's the start of the NFL season. You got to represent your team.
Did you bring your kids to school with that on today?
I did. I did.
Nice.
Right in the heart
Nice.
of Browns country.
Very good. Very good. Did your car get egged or anything?
No, thankfully people around here are pretty friendly. It's
Okay.
never had any bad crap talk or anything like that. It's pretty friendly.
Okay, cool. Good. All right. So it's week one. We are very excited. It's the Dynasty Owner Podcast in case you missed it. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see on the screen, bottom of the screen. But if you listen to us like a traditional podcast, this is the Dynasty Owner Podcast. We're going to talk Dynasty Owner Fantasy Football, which is basically fantasy football with the salary cap. So when we draft, we have to draft players and use their real NFL salaries and contracts and fit them under a salary cap, which this year is 145.74 million. So almost all of the drafts are done. But if you just checking this out and are interested, we actually have people drafting on Saturday. I know there's at least for the Love of the Game League, which is you pay for an entry, but there's no money cash prize pool, but you can win Dynasty dollars, which are worth money if you do it. So if you're just coming across this, you want to draft on Saturday, even though there's games tonight, you can still do that. There's still spots open, and they might open up more if they have people who are interested. So if you're interested, hit up the Twitter. It's at Dynasty_owner. You can send an email. You can log in, join, and then send an email to one of the commissioners and see if they'll talk to you about that. And if you want to follow Jay or myself on social media, on Twitter, I'm at SteveVT33, and Jay, you are
At J Pounds NFL.
Okay. And if you're watching us, you'll see it on the bottom. If you're not, if you're listening, rewind, or we'll talk about it later. So we are very excited. Like I said, all the drafts are done except for a couple. I'm not doing any Saturday drafts. I'm going to do one more best ball draft with my son tonight, like right before the games, because he wants a team. And I decided to let him help me draft a best ball team on DraftKings because it does. I won it. So it's a kind of a freebie and he wants to do it, but I know he's not going to want to set a lineup every week. So he's just going to want to see how we're doing, right? So he's going to want to pick players, and then like every week I can show him what place we are in the standings, right? So he's 8.5. He doesn't get a lot of this. He wants a team, but he can't do the work to do it, right? So, anyways, but so we've got Saturday drafts. If that's what you want to do, if you listen to this Friday morning and you're like, shoot, I can't draft anymore. You can on Dynasty Owner. And then the other thing, and entries ended, but on the Wednesday live stream with Tim and I, 4:00 Eastern, we're going to announce the winner of the Justin Jefferson jersey. I don't have any idea how many entries there are, but we'll find out. There's going to be one winner. We're going to do it. As far as I know, we're going to kind of do it live and figure out who it is. So that should be a lot of fun. We'll see who wins. I'm looking forward to it. I got my 10 entries. I don't think I'm allowed to win, but I got my 10 entries in case. I mean, and we'll have to find out. I'll have to figure it out. I think I'll be part of it. I don't know, maybe not. But we'll at least figure out how many entries there are. I know right off the bat they had a lot. And I know we gained a lot of followers and things like that because you got extra entries for that. So, but tune in 4:00 next Wednesday, 4:00 Eastern live. So. And the last bit of housekeeping, as we're going to call it, is that I drafted on Tuesday night. I drafted the Podcast League number 2 draft. And so I'll talk more about that later, maybe in a separate video. But I did want to acknowledge all the Dynasty owners who joined me in that draft. We had a really good time. I did, at least. I think everybody did. So we have I'll go in the order that they're listed on the standings page, even though I don't think that was the draft order. I don't know if I can pull up the draft order, but So it's myself. I'm the Fantastics. We've got the Nashville Riverboat Gamblers, who's also in Podcast League One. We got the Dothraki. I hope I got that right. We've got Anchorman Dynasty, who said he's going to win. A lot of people said they were going to win. There's going to be a lot of winners in this league, apparently. We've got Tyrannical Teabaggers. I'm not really sure I was supposed to say that on this, but oh well. We got ODBs, and that guy. His name's Josh. We know Josh. He's got a lot of Dynasty owner teams, and he was 10th in the chase for the ring last year, 10th overall. So he won a league and finished 10th overall. We've got Bayside Tigers, who I remember being up there. I think he said he finished 17th last year. I didn't verify that, but I know he was up there. I remember his team name. We've got Belushi's Convicts, who I play in week 1 by chance. I didn't draw this. Who also asked me if this is going to be like more than 1 year. I'm like, of course, it's Dynasty owner. You think I'm doing a redraft here? No, of course. So I guess people had the same question. I mean, our league that we're doing, I plan on having that team for many, many, many years.
Yep. Yeah, me too.
So, okay. So, I mean, I think because sometimes some people do leagues with analysts and then they kind of do it and then they drop out or they forget to follow it, because they don't pay much attention to it. So just to let people know, if you ever get into anything with anybody who's part of this here in Dynasty Owner, we all play. We all try. This is not like my 95th league that like I don't pay attention to. I just try to get people to do it to get more users. I play and I want to win this league. I'm not fake. I'm not losing. I'm not setting a lineup. I'm in. So if you randomly get into a league with me, I'm in that league. I don't have some intern following me picking my lineup or anything like that. That's me doing my own stuff. And same with you, right, Jay?
Yeah, we're putting our own hard-earned money in there to play with you guys. I'm not just gonna go in there and give up after a year. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But I think some places do that. I mean, Jay and I pay for these leagues. I mean, if anybody wants to see the bill, you can see the bill where they deducted the $50 out of my checking account. I mean, I'm in there. So, all right. So after Belushi's Convicts, we have Black and Gold, one of approximately 9,000 Steeler named teams on our platform. I feel like. Then we have Lights Out NYCO. And he's new. He's brand new. Only Dynasty Owner team he has is in this podcast league too. And I'll get into this when I do my analysis later on that I'll record. But he drafted very low, so he was interesting. I thought I was worried about that, but then he just kept going low, and then at the end he bought a couple of big name players. So I kind of liked his strategy. He was one of the only ones who did that strategy, so which made him unique for this one. So we'll see how he does, but I thought that was good. Then we've got big ASSTDs with the dollar signs. He had the number 1 pick, I remember. And then we have Inya Express. I hope I got that right. Apologies if I didn't. He was drafting that team was drafting right before me. I remember them. But that's the league. There's 12 teams, and it's a regular Dynasty Owner league. You qualify for the chase for the ring if you are doing really well. You get money, Dynasty dollars, everything. There's not some separate wall that it's behind. It's not different. These are all the same. All Dynasty Owner leaders are basically the same. There's no different rules. There's no different scoring systems. There's no different lineup setting or, anything. It's the same. And that's how we can do the chase for the ring. If they're all the same, when we say, oh, so-and-so had like Jeff last year, Jeff, our champ, Skull Vikings, he had the most points in Dynasty Owner. He didn't have the most points out of the subset of certain leagues. He had the most points, period. And he won his league. So that's how he can be the chase for the ring champion. There's not a PPR champion. There's not a non-PPR champion. There's not a super flex champion. There's a champion, one champion.
Yep.
So, which is unique because, I see some of these other things and like, oh, this tournament champion was this guy and that tournament champion was this team and blah, blah, blah. Jeff was number 1 last year. Victor was number 1 2 years ago. Eddie was number 1 3 years ago. Nobody was better. Nobody was better than them.
Yep. Yeah. We all play under the same rules. It's as fair as it gets. Just got to do better if you don't win.
Yeah, no. And the besides winning the ring, besides winning the gigantic ring, getting a free trip to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, getting to meet Tim and Seth and Paul and all that stuff, you also will, I assume, be added to the Podcast Champions podcast. So it's the three
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
now. It's Victor, Eddie, and Jeff, and I guess I'll just add a fourth box on the screen, and you'll be the fourth. You could be the fourth person. So.
Yep, it'll be nice talking to you guys next year.
I saw that. You sent that in a tweet or something. I saw that. Very good. Very good.
My article.
Okay. For the record, it's his article, which came out on what, Tuesday, was it?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah. For the record, I've said this. I say this all the time. My goal at first is to try to win the ring, which is very low chance, but I got to take it. And my second goal is not to have anybody in any of my leagues win it.
There you go.
Because I don't want. Well, first of all, I want to win all my leagues, so that's obvious. So you can't win it unless you're the champion of a league, right? So if you don't win the championship in my league, if you were like number 3 in the Chase of the Ring and I was against you in the championship game, I would do everything in my power short of cheating to win that game and prevent you from winning the ring.
I like it. Competitive spirit. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
You got to. So anyways, thanks to those 12 Dynasty owners, 11 plus me Dynasty owners for joining the league. Jay and I have the league number 1. This was league number 2. So we'll be giving regular updates on this. No updates today. There's just week 1 matchups. We'll talk about how we did next week. So, but let's get into this. So we have some topics for this week that we're going to talk about. And the first one, and because it's Dynasty owner, and, we use real salaries and real contracts. We've got to, it's not all about having the big high salary players, not all about having Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. Sometimes you need to have guys on your roster who get a lot of points, but have a minimal contract. So those are our value players. And so Jay and I are going to give our value players of the year picks right now. So what you want to start and you want to pick a position, Jay?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with the quarterbacks, the most important position on the platform. I guess for value of the year here's got to be Jalen Hurts. Just fantastic rushing upside. There's been a lot of reports he's looked a lot better this preseason with his accuracy and things like that. So I'm excited to see with the addition of AJ Brown, it should only benefit him. So I'm really excited to see what the Eagles come out and look like week 1 and beyond. But it's got to be Jalen Hurts. There's just nobody even close.
Yeah, I mean, his salary is $1.5 million. The only starter cheaper than him is Davis Mills at like 1.3. And then after that, I think the next highest one, if you don't count Joe Flacco, I think because he's not starting all year, is if Drew Lock was a starter, he'd be in the conversation. It's 1.7. But I think after that, it's like Mac Jones. He's over 3. So Mac would have to score like twice as many points as Jalen Hurts to beat him in terms of value, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I also had Hurts, no surprise. But then I decided, I'm like, okay, I need to pick somebody else because Hurts was the obvious answer.
I got a couple for each one as well.
Okay, good. So, my second guy, because we both have Hurts, my second guy is Justin Fields. I have him even over Mac, even though he's like $1 million more. He's like 4.72. But I'm just worried about the Patriots offense this year. And I have a sneaky suspicion that Justin Fields is going to be a lot better this year than he was last year, just because it just seemed like he was like swimming against the tide last year with that offense. So I'd love Mac to prove me wrong and be better than Justin Fields this year, or at least as close, but I'm worried it's not going to happen. So I'll take Justin Fields there.
Yeah, I had him as well. Just same thing as Jalen Hurts, the rushing upside. It just boosts him up a little bit over Mac Jones. I think Geno Smith was down in that area too at 3.5.
Yeah.
He wasn't really in consideration.
He wasn't? Why? You don't think he's gonna start all year and score like 300 Dynasty under fantasy points?
I'd love to see it. Honestly, that would it'd make for a good story. But no, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, can I take running back?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I like my pick at running back. I like this one. I'm going to go with Cam Akers. 1.54 million, which is pretty cheap for running back. But Jonathan Taylor's like 1.9, Ramondre Stevenson's like 1 million, Damian Harris is 900,000, Elijah Mitchell is like 900,000, but I'm going with Cam, 1.54 million. I have him having a big year. I know everybody was somewhat worried because he didn't have a burst when he came back at the end of last year, like for the playoffs. That was January, and like it's September now. He's had like 9 months to rehab and work hard. And if he worked so hard to get ready to play the playoffs last year, I got to think he's working just as hard to be ready for this season. So I'm going to take him as my value player of the year at running back.
Yeah, and if you just look back at McVay's short time in Los Angeles, St. Louis, where I don't know, remember if he coached in St. Louis for
Oh, that's been a while, Jay. You're showing your age.
But he's always liked a featured running back when he has one. You think Todd Gurley, he used the living crap out of Todd Gurley, and I'm kind of expecting the same with Cam Akers. So yeah, I like that pick quite a bit. I'm gonna surprise a little bit of people here. I got Devin Singletary. I'm not a fan of James Cook. He just seems like he falls after the first guy hits him. I've watched a little bit of him, and he just doesn't break through tackles much. And outside of being like maybe a third down back, that's kind of what I see his role becoming in the NFL. And if that becomes the case, it's going to have to be the Devin Singletary show. And the way he looked last season, if he can kind of carry that into this year, he could be a big steal at his salary.
Okay, I like that because I have him in a league, and I tried desperately all summer to get rid of him because his contract is coming up. His contract now is like 974,000.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, so he's going to get paid if he plays well, and I wanted to kind of rebuild and get rid of him, but nobody would give me anything decent, so I kept him. So I'm happy if you're right on that one. I like that decision. Side note, I was checking Twitter this morning, and Mike from Spot Track, who's loved from Buffalo and a Buffalo fan, he said he's got a prop bet guarantee, and it includes, I forget what the first part of it was, but it was a Zach Moss touchdown was the second part of it. And I was like, really? Wow. Yeah. I got some free bets because I live in Virginia. I might throw one down on a Zach Moss anytime TD and see if Mike's right. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, but that's a throw. I just throw a little cold water on your Devin Singletary pick. But I thought that was interesting. I mean, and Mike knows a ton about contracts in the NFL, and and he's a big Buffalo fan. So, just
where I heard there was rumors Zach Moss was they were possibly looking at cutting him. So I didn't from hearing that, I didn't expect him to have any type of role at the start.
Oh, I know, but the same. Remember Trey Sermon? Like I remember there were stories like at the same time, which was like he's going to get cut, which he did, and then he was also in contention to be the RB2 for San Francisco. Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know what to believe on these things. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
I feel like they feed one reporter like the one story, and then they feed another reporter the other story, and they both write the article. And they know they're going to cut him. So, the guy they don't like that much, or the Raider they don't like that much, they give the RB2 story to. I don't know. That's my guess. I don't know. I know nothing about this, but anyways, but
could be.
Yeah. But no, like literally those stories about Trey Sermon were like the same day.
Yeah.
So they're not this, 1 hour, they're not saying he's going to get cut, and the next hour they're making him the running back too. I mean,
right.
We'll see. Hey, if Mike's right next week, I don't know. Maybe I'll donate some money to. I'll ask him if he has a charity. I'll donate some money to it.
I had a second guy on there I want to throw out real quick.
Go for it. Devin was a good pick though.
Damian Pierce, Houston Texans. It's looking like he's going to be their feature back all year. I don't know if I'd necessarily believe in he's a top end talent, but I think the Houston Texans do, and they're about to use him like it. So watch out for him as well.
Okay. Yeah, he's barely over $1 million, right?
Yeah, it was like 1.2 or 3.
Yeah. So he needs a little bit more than single. He needs a few more points in Singletary to be the value, but that's very possible. I just worry that the Houston's going to be out of a lot of games, and he's just going to be hanging on the bench and not doing much. No, I mean, you can see a scenario where he gets like 10 carries in a game constantly because they're behind and throwing the ball all the time, and he's he gets his 10 carries for 35 yards and a couple of catches, and that's it. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll see. Good picks though. Good picks. Different picks. Different picks. All right. Who do you got at wide receiver?
I got, I got a whole list of them, but I'll just go with my
Ooh.
I'll go with my favorite one, Darnell Mooney. He's
Okay.
extremely cheap. He's the number one wide receiver tied to a quarterback we both apparently like. And Justin Fields. Justin Fields is excellent at throwing the deep ball. And that's where Mooney's going to excel at too. And I think he's going to surprise some people in the red zone as well.
Okay. And he's only $894,000, so that's good value. Well, I mean, I copped out. I'll take Mooney was my second choice. I'll cop out. I copped out, and I took Hunter Renfro because he's 709,000 this year. So that's a complete cop out. It shouldn't really count. This should be honestly. I think he was the value player of the year last year, right? I think he had the lowest.
Yeah.
I think he had the best value of anybody because in terms of like most points and lowest salary, his was like at 3,000 or something,
Yeah,
which is
he had to have
incredibly
been.
low.
Yeah, he was finished as a wide receiver one at that salary. There's no way he wasn't.
Yeah, if it wasn't him, it may have been Mark Andrews, but Andrews would have needed a few more points than quite a few more points than Renfro just because his salary. Renfro's was 709,000 last year, and Andrews was like 863,000. So Andrews just has to put up that many more points to make it to be better. So I'll have to look that up. I think it was Hunter Renfro last year. But okay, so I'm going to cop out, and I'm not going to cop out. I'm not going to take that pick. I'm going to take your boy Deontay Johnson.
I like it.
Okay, because I just think I know everybody's like, oh, he just caught a bunch of little short passes from Ben Roethlisberger last year. Well, what do you think he's going to catch from Mitchell Trubisky and like Kenny Pickett? What do you think they're going to do? Do you think Mike Tomlin's going to have them throwing 25-yard post patterns all game long? No, he's going to dink it to Deontay for 4 yards at a clip, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
can you not see Deontay catching 10 passes every game for like 63 yards?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. No, I do. They will take a lot more shots downfield this year, but it's still Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator. He's still gonna throw a ton of little bubble screens and all that bull crap and kind of make it an extension of the running game. I hate it. I don't like.
I got that impression.
It doesn't fit well with today's NFL. But I mean, if he can make it work and get to the playoffs, I'd be surprised. Just we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, I do like the Deontay Johnson pick.
Just for the record, Jay, you didn't have to tell us that you didn't like it. When you said bull crap, I kind of figured it out. I was Johnny on the spot on that one. When you said that, I was like, yeah, he doesn't like that.
I mean, I understand it. The offensive line's been so bad the past couple of years, you kind of have to. So I get it in a sense. And then Ben Roethlisberger's limitations didn't help at all. We'll see if he changes his ways a little bit this year, just based on talent that he has alone.
Okay. So, but I like that pick. I mean, Deontay's only 1.07 million this year. He goes up a lot next year, but he still plays under that contract this year. And he does need to score a lot more points than Mooney, but I got confidence in Deontay. We'll see what happens. All right. What do you went first on this? So I'm going to go first on tight end. I'm going to say Isaiah Likely. $1.04 million a year. They're talking about him like he's going to be like either him or Andrews are really going to be a wide receiver and the other guy's going to be a tight end. So, I mean, I can see him doing very, very, very well this year. A lot of the cheaper tight ends from last year got new contracts. Schultz got a new contract. Andrews got a new contract. Both those guys were very low. I mean, Schultz was 728,000. Now he's 10.9 million, and Andrews is 14 million. And last year was 863,000. So when I was looking for this, there weren't a ton of tight ends who I thought could be productive and had very low salaries. So I'll take Isaiah Likely for my value at tight end.
I like it. Mine's kind of a cheap one, so I got two on here. Dawson Knox. I mean, he's just so cheap. And I was a little skeptical of this pick a couple weeks ago, but the new contract he just got with Buffalo, they love the kid. He's going to be there. He's going to be there a while now. So I expect a pretty big role out of him this year. But my other one's Pat Freiermuth. He's just so cheap. He's he's going to get featured a decent amount in Pittsburgh. They love using their tight ends. So those are my two for tight end.
Okay. Brian Ruth was my second pick at tight end because he's like 1.51 million. I just think likely, even if he doesn't have like a ton of points, he's just going to, Brian Ruth would need to score like 30-40% more points than him to make him a better value. So I just kind of thought, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, and I thought about Dawson Knox. I don't know. I know they love him and I know they just paid him and everything like that. But I mean, if you think Devin Singletary is going to have a good year and everybody's on Gabe Davis, and of course you've got, Diggs, and then they talk about Cook, and then you got Isaiah McKenzie, who I personally like. Where's Dawson? I mean, that's like 4 or 5 guys. I mean, so I don't know. I know Josh Allen can throw the ball a lot and still runs, but can you really support like 5 fantasy relevant guys like that? I don't know. And so I guess out of all those guys, the one who I think could drop off is Knox. So
that's fair.
That's kind of why I didn't pick him there, even though he does pretty much have the cheapest salary of any of the named tight ends.
Yeah.
You know who neither one of us picked here, but and was really hot at the beginning, like is Albert O.
Yeah.
When Russell Wilson came there and they traded Fant, everybody's like Albert O, and he's barely over $1 million. So I mean, either one of us, I could have picked him instead of Likely because he's got basically the same salary. But did you even think of him? Just out of curiosity? Yeah,
nope.
That's my point. That's kind of my point on this one. Is like I think he's kind of fallen out of favor. I bet like you look at like drafts and like ADP and like his is like Alberto's like way up here like at the beginning and then like that.
It definitely fell off quick.
So, all right, those were good. Those were good. All right, so next, okay, now we have to do. I guess we're gonna have to do the opposite here, and we're gonna have to go to the bust of the year. And I threw in the high salary at the beginning of it because it's Dynasty owner and. Like Josh Jacobs, for example, I'm not going to say he's a bust, but he could not play very well and not do as much, but he's only like $3 million. So he can't be a bust. Like Antonio Gibson can be a bust in regular fantasy football, but in Dynasty owner, unless he does nothing, it's hard for him to be a complete bust, right? Because he's still only 1.4 million. So these are high salary busts of the year. So we're talking like guys who make a ton of money. When I was proposing this, I said, think Allen Robinson from last year. He had an $18 million contract and he had like 100 Dynasty owner fantasy points. I mean, that's miserable. So you could barely put him on. You could barely put him on your bench if you held him all year, right?
I mean, it was bad enough. I had Allen Robinson in a redraft league, and that hurt enough. I can only imagine in a Dynasty owner league when you're paying him that kind of salary with that type of production.
Yeah, I mean, and you're like going, geez, can I even put him on my bench this week? Maybe he gets 7 points and I get like 2 from him because we have bench scoring. If you don't know, 25% for guys on your bench. So as Jay likes to say, it's almost like it's almost like a 1.5 quarterback league, right?
Yeah.
So
that, and we get more points per passing touchdown, so it makes the quarterbacks just that much more important.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm in a lot of leagues that have 6 points for quarterbacks. I like that. I think 4 is dumb. I don't like.
I do too.
I just think it's not the way it is. So why are they downgrading the most important position on the field?
Right. Yeah. Especially in a one quarterback type league, you got to have it 6 points, or the quarterbacks are you can just change them in and out as you go. No problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So bust of the year. Do you want to go first? Do you want to pick a position?
Go ahead. I started on the value if you want to start.
Okay. I'll go first. I'll go with quarterback, and I'm going to go way out of left field in this one. I'm going to say Russell Wilson. And I got several reasons for this. He's never played anywhere. He's only been in Seattle. I know people will say things like, oh, Pete Carroll held him down and things like that. I mean, maybe, but maybe Pete Carroll kind of utilized him to the best of his abilities. It's possible. I might be one of the only people saying this. It's possible that Pete Carroll maximized that talent from Russell Wilson and put him in the right situations and stuff. I'm not sure I believe that because I don't have a great opinion of Pete Carroll, but But there's no guarantees that Russell Wilson's going to come out and be the greatest thing since sliced bread here in Denver. I mean, players struggle when they change teams sometimes. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they struggle. And so it's possible that Russell Wilson struggles, and he's 35 million, going to go up to like 49 million next year, not this year, but next year. And I mean, at $35 million, he needs to produce. I mean, I know he's probably like top 7 quarterbacks in terms of salary. Yeah. Definitely top 10, maybe top 7, and I can't pick Deshaun Watson. That doesn't count. Right. So if he doesn't finish top 10 in quarterback scoring, he's kind of almost a bust. Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're spending that much money on him, he needs to be your starter every week.
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
So we'll see that. Replay this like 3 months from now when he's like the third highest scorer, and you can criticize me all you want, but that's my guess. That's my guess.
I like.
Who do you got at quarterback?
So mine's kind of cheap. I really didn't have anybody outside of like maybe Jared Goff's, and they're just not rostered, highly, or Carson Wentz. But I went with Deshaun Watson, and it wasn't because of the suspension. I'm thinking after suspension, he's rostered in like 35% of leagues, which is really high in my opinion. But this guy's going to be off of football for pretty much 2 years before he comes back and sees actual game action outside of them 5 snaps he just had in preseason. There's a high chance he's not the Deshaun Watson we've seen the last time in Houston when he takes the field. And then he's playing in cold weather. I don't think he's ever done that, even back in his high school days. I think he's always been somewhat south, like Clemson area. So the weather could affect him as well. Cleveland's brutal in the winter. It's rough. So
Jay lives close to Cleveland. He knows.
Yeah. It's windy. It's not necessarily the amount of snow. It's the wind that it's going to affect a lot. So I'm very curious to see how he looks coming in 2 years off in the back half of the season in the weather in Cleveland, and it'll be very interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, okay. Well, we'll see. I'm fine with that pick because he is in 35% of leagues. Is he owned in as many leagues as like Kirk Cousins? Or I haven't looked at that. I haven't looked at roster percentage recently. So, but while you look at that, do you want to go
58%?
Wow, that's a lot for him.
Carson Wentz is 2%.
Golf was like 1% a while ago. Last time I remember looking. So I mean. And like Matt Ryan was like 10 or 12. I mean, it's $30 million. I mean, you can much rather have a combination of Tom Brady and Jameis Winston for $29 million. I know Tom's unlikely to play next year, but I'd rather have that than one Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
So, all right, who do you got? What do you pick a position? Who do you got as a bust of the year?
I'm gonna go wide receiver here, and I gotta go with Adam Thielen. I've seen him getting drafted in a few spots, and I just don't. He's been falling off, it seems like, every year. Last year, if he didn't have touchdowns, he'd have scored about 12 points all year long. So he just seems to have 2 catches, 8 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown seemed to save him a lot last year, and that's where you tend to see a lot of regression at is touchdowns. So I'm not expecting him to have a big year. I'm kind of expecting KJ Osborne to take a step forward there and kind of run away with that number 2 spot. He will still get a few touchdowns because Kirk Cousins loves the guy in the red zone, but at 19 million and some change, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Okay. That was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. So I got wide receiver. I got Tyler Lockett, and I felt like this was kind of like the no-brainer, easy pick out of the positions. 17.25 million. I mean, I know I just talked about Russell Wilson being a bust, but he was great with Russell Wilson, and the downgrade to Drew Lock / Geno Smith is pretty high. Seattle still wants to run the ball first anyways with Pete Carroll, and Lockett to me is the ultimate best ball. Him and Marquise Valdes-Scantling are the ultimate best ball drafted players. Like I can't figure out what week they're going to go off for 40 points and what week they're going to have 3. Right. Yeah. So I like to have him in best ball because I'll take the 40-point weeks, and then the 3-point weeks they don't count. Right. But in Dynasty Owner, and when you have to set weekly lineups, I'm always petrified that I'm going to bench him the week he goes for 35 points, and then I'm going to start him for 3 weeks in a row after the 35-point game, and he's going to get 6 every week.
Yeah.
So that's my reasoning. I talked about this before. I know when everybody ever cites, like, they're like, how do you think he's not good? He was wide receiver 16 over the course of the season. And it's like, I know,
60-point game.
Yeah, it's like, I know, but look at the per games. I mean, I know it averages out to be nice, but it's not reality. I mean, it's like if you score 90 points, it's like if a team scores 60 points one week and then gets shut out the next week. They look like they're averaging 30 points a game. They look like a prolific offense, but they got shut out once. I mean, so, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna pick tight end because I just want to mention this guy first. He's very similar. I think he's like the king of the Blutarski, and the Blutarski for me is like, if you remember Animal House, when Mr. Blutarski, his grade point average is 0.0. So like Mike Gesicki is the king of this category. There's so many games where he gets 0 receptions for 0 yards and he gets 0 Dynasty Owner fantasy points. I mean, he's got to have like 3 or 4 of them a season. And this was before the Dolphins had Tyreek Hill and Chase Edmonds, and at 10.931 million, I don't know why. I don't know how people do it. I think he might have gone undrafted in the podcast 2 league I had the other day. He was undrafted for a long time, and I can't remember, somebody at the end grabbed him, like, because they had so much salary cap room. But I wouldn't blame them if they didn't. I have no interest in having him. I mean, if I want a $10.9 million tight end, I'm just going to take Dalton Schultz. Yeah. And so I just worry. I don't like Gesicki. That's too much money. I didn't think I heard any discussion of him getting a long-term extension. Maybe it happened and they didn't report it, but I don't remember seeing any discussion of this at all, which is a bad sign because it shows that maybe they just did it for this year because they needed to, and then they're just going to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would stay away, kids. Stay away. Don't do drugs. Don't draft Mike Gesicki.
Oh, I laughed because I had Gesicki on there, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, I know Steve's picking him, so I put somebody.
You're right. Yeah, I did.
And this one's gonna surprise you a little bit, but I put George Kittle on there. He's already banged up. This dude was hurt all year last year. He cost you like $15.5 million. I already seen he's in jeopardy of missing week 1 because of a hamstring issue. Oh. And I just worry you're going to see him 4 or 5 times this year. He might look good those 4 or 5 times, but it's at that salary, it's just going to hurt you at the position so much that I worry that he's not going to be valuable at all towards, after the season plays out, just because of the injury concerns. The new quarterback, who knows if Trey Lance likes throwing to his tight ends. Maybe he's going to feature Brandon Ayuk a little bit more. It's just too many question marks at too high of a salary.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, there's a lot of people fading him. I mean, I remember seeing a couple of drafts that I did, and not even just Dynasty, other places where, like, his ADP was, I think, around 50 in Dynasty Owner at the time. And this was like the 7th round, and he wasn't taken. And you're like, I mean, who's going to take him? I mean, you're looking at the board and you're going, okay, well, a couple teams aren't obviously going to take him because they already have, like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, and they're not taking Kittle too. And he just fell a couple of times. So you're not alone on that. You are really not alone on that. And you're right. And to promote a little bit, Matt the Jerk had in his Wednesday article, one of the things he was looking for, he said, was what's going to happen with Trey Lance trying to support Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, and George Kittle as fantasy relevant receivers, right? Because those are 3 guys, and everybody's got high expectations for all 3 of them. But what happens if, I said this on the live stream too, there's only so many plays in a game, right? If Lance takes off 2 to 3 more times a game than Jimmy G did, because that's extremely likely, that's 2 to 3 less targets per game for all those guys. You add that up, that's 35 to 50 less targets over the course of the season. You kind of divide that by 3, or, and that's roughly 10 to 15 less targets for all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, and I
over the
think
course
you're
of a season. And then, then that's 8 to 10 less catches, right? Or 8, 12, 8 to 10, 8 to 12 less catches. That adds up.
yeah, and I think you're being very generous with that 2 to 3 number because they're going to run a ton of the read option and all that. Just getting his feet wet.
Hmm.
He's going to be his athleticism is going to be used a ton while learning and things like that. So, yeah, you're spot on there.
Yeah. So that's a question. And like you said, because we're talking high, we have to have high salaries here. $15 million is the highest of the tight end salaries right
Yeah.
now. So yeah, good pick. I didn't think of him. I guess I'm thinking that he's gonna be okay out of that. So all right, who you got at running back? Last one.
Alvin Kamara. And he's expensive. He's aging. New offense, new coach. Jameis Winston. They might let him throw it more. They got new receivers. I don't think they need to feature Alvin Kamara as much in the passing game like they would with Drew Brees or Sean Payton. There, it just seemed like that was his style. So I'm interested to see. I don't think it changes a ton in New Orleans because it's still somewhat the same staff, but I do expect to see a somewhat completely different, offense when it gets out there. I don't think they're going to be as conservative.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's exact opposite of me because actually I haven't. When we did the top 5 picks on the position scorers for the year on the live stream, I had Kamara as one of my top 5. So clearly he's not my choice here. And my choice probably isn't surprising if you pay attention. I picked Aaron Jones. I mean, he's 12. I figured for this one, you had to pick one of the guys in double-digit salaries, right? I just,
Yeah, yeah.
I just felt like you could. I guess you could have dropped down to like Saquon Barkley at like 7 something million, but at a certain point, I felt like those 12, those 10, those guys above 10, most of them above 12. Those are kind of the pool for this category, right?
Yeah.
And so then I looked at all of them, and if you don't predict injuries for like CMC or Derrick Henry or something like that, I'm like, which one of these 7 or 8 guys is most likely to, who's going to have the lowest points out of those guys? And I picked Aaron, and I looked at it and I'm like, it's Aaron Jones for me, because almost all the rest of them don't have somebody they split time with. Chubb does with Kareem Hunt, but I don't consider the Browns coach. I can't even. It's Kevin Stefanski, right?
Stefanski. Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't come out and said that like Chubb and Hunt are 1A and 1A, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Matt LaFleur has basically said Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are 1A and 1A.
There's a
So
lot of times too in Cleveland, you'll see Hunt and Chubb on the field at the same time. They'll
mhm.
split it Hunt out wide, and Chubb will be in the backfield. So it's a little different of a dynamic, I feel like, with them. But another one I worry about is Pollard and Zeke. That's just, I feel like that's kind of the same as you're meaning with Kareem Hunt, where Zeke is the featured back there. Nick Chubb is the more important back in that offense, and you're not sure in Green Bay coming up this year.
Yeah, I mean, like Zeke, they're going to let have time off. They're going to play Pollard to give Zeke time off. But even though I don't like him in Dynasty owner, he's because of his salary and the length of the salary. The length is kind of the thing that kills me more than the salary, actually. It's just that I still think he plays a lot. Whereas you could see Aaron Jones like playing half of the time. I know they're talking about splitting one of them out wide and him maybe catching more passes because, Rodgers isn't comfortable with the wide receiver core and all that. But what happens if he finds his darling receiver, right? And he starts throwing it to him 40 times a game like he did Devontae Adams, and Aaron and AJ Dillon starts running the ball more. All of a sudden you've got $12 million Aaron Jones getting 8 carries and like 2 receptions a game. I mean, it's okay. I mean, if you have him in a regular league, you're like, oh, that sucks. But like, okay. But here it's like you spend this at a high pick if you drafted him this year and you're paying him $12 million. It just, like I said, when I looked at the list of double-digit running backs, he was my pick for the guy who's going to have the lowest points. So that's how he gets there. So
Yeah,
okay.
well, mine was Kamara and Zeke, just the Pollard and Zeke, with Zeke being so expensive, it kind of worries me a little bit. But
Did you have
I'll
to did you have to like wash your mouth out with soap when you said Zeke because he's a Buckeye?
Yeah, that's why I said Kamara first.
So you think it's Zeke, basically, is what you're saying there. Okay.
Kind of,
Note
yeah.
that. Note that, everybody. If you're listening to us, Jay's laughing and grinning, and yeah, he wanted to pick Zeke, and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to do it. That's what happens. All right. So let's switch. Let's do something here. Let's talk about. We've got some week 1 picks, and if you want to know all the games that I picked, you can listen to the live stream or watch the live stream that I did with Tim yesterday. So I'm going to mostly leave this to Jay. So we talked about this. Maybe we don't do all the games, but like, give me the team. If you're doing a survivor pool, give me the team you're picking in the survivor pool this week. And then give me the team give me an upset.
All right. If I'm in the survivor pool, the team I'm picking, it has to be the Ravens over the Jets.
Okay.
No revenge game for Joe Flacco here. It's just the Ravens are just such a better team than the Jets. It's pretty easy with healthy Lamar Jackson coming in. I don't even care who the Ravens running back is in week 1. It shouldn't matter. And then as far as an upset, I don't know really if you could consider it an upset, but I'm going to go Carolina over Cleveland.
They're favorites, so that's really.
Are they? Okay, never mind
Well, I
that.
mean, they're favored by 1.5. They're at home, so kind of it was neutral. But yeah, it's kind of an even pick there.
Okay. We'll go with let's go with the Cowboys over the Buccaneers.
Okay.
I just the 11 days off, a lot of drama in Tom Brady's life. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not too confident in that one, but
Okay. I actually had a couple of upset picks. My big one was that I think the Bears are going to beat the 49ers. I just think the whole Jimmy G thing, it came way too late in the preseason. It's just going to hang over their heads. They're playing early. I'm sure they've gone east early and stuff, but they still have to play early. They're a West Coast team. They play early. And if everybody likes the Bears, like if you like Justin Fields and you like Darnell Mooney, how do you not think the Bears are going to win a few games here? So I'll take the Bears in my upset pick. And then my lock and my survivor pick this week, I do a survivor pool. I picked Tennessee. And part of it is I have silly reasons because several years ago, I picked against the Jets and they totally blew me out of the water in week 1. It was many, many years ago, but it always bothers me, right? And the other thing is I hate taking road teams until I really have to. I just hate taking road teams in a survivor. So Tennessee's at home against the Giants. I mean, do you really think the Giants are going to win that game? I mean, no. I mean, Tennessee's not going to be great. I'm not sure they're going to make I don't have them making the playoffs, but they're going to be good enough week 1 to beat the Giants. And I also think Derrick Henry might just run over the Giants the Giants defenders like their children.
yeah.
Right? Can you see Derrick Henry having 200 yards rushing that game?
Yeah, that's pretty realistic, actually.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I'm picking. That's why I got Tennessee. So, okay. Any other picks you want to make? What? Obviously, you're going to pick this. Pittsburgh beating the Bengals.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, why don't I do rapid fire so you can get the rest of your picks and people can listen to mine. So Buffalo Rams,
Buffalo,
New Orleans Atlanta,
Saints,
San Francisco Chicago,
Niners by a field goal.
Ooh, that'd cover the spread, folks. Pittsburgh Cincinnati,
Bengals.
Okay. Philly Detroit,
Eagles.
New England Miami, Baltimore New York. We already got that one. The game of the week, Jacksonville Washington.
I'm not going Jacksonville. I think they kind of surprised some people and get 6-7 wins this year.
Okay, that could have been your upset. The point spread isn't that high, but picking Jacksonville to win is always an upset, I think. Cleveland Carolina. All right. Indianapolis Houston.
Colts.
New York Tennessee. Green Bay Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Ooh, okay, that's an upset too. A teeny bit of one. Kansas City, Arizona.
Kansas City.
Okay, that's a good game. I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah.
That's a 4:25 Eastern game. I might end up watching that one.
I like the 4:25 games. That Giants Titans isn't all that exciting, but the rest of them should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You don't want to watch Derek. You can just watch Red Zone and watch Derek and all the highlights of him running over the Giants. Right?
That's usually what I do.
All right, last one of them. Vegas against the Chargers.
I gotta go Chargers.
Okay, that's they're a 3-point underdog. Or at least when I looked at, I was kind of surprised at that. I picked the Chargers too. All right, so Sunday Night Football, Tampa Bay, Dallas.
I'll go Dallas.
Okay, and then Monday night, Denver and Seattle.
Denver.
Okay. All right. Good. So if you want my picks, you can listen to the live stream. Don't bet my picks. Don't bet my picks. I mean, but we'll see. Okay. So we've got a little bit of time left here. So we're going to do, again, same thing. I kind of did mine already on the live stream, but we'll let Jay do his picks for the season predictions. And so what we're going to do is we'll just start off with just give me your divisions. Oh, do you need to pause?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
No problem. Take your time.
He's in there chilling. All right, I'm good.
Okay, no problem. It gave me a chance. My mom had called me too, so it gave me a chance to respond to her, make sure it was nothing urgent. I didn't think so, but okay. All right. So we can do now. It's time to give Jay a chance to do his NFL 2022 season predictions. I made mine on the live stream. You can listen to it if you want those, and I might throw them in here too. But so let's go. Give me division winners. Pick a conference. Give me your division winners.
All right, so we'll go AFC first. I got the division winners as the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Colts. In that order, I think that'll be your 1, 2, 3, 4 seed. Just the Chiefs are in too tough of a division, I feel like, to kind of overcome and get enough wins to be in them at top two. But I feel like the Buffalo Bills are going to get that bye. They're just an elite team this year. They'd be my Super Bowl pick if I was making that one, to be honest.
Well, you are going to pick that one.
Oh, okay. Well, there
it's
we
a
go.
Season prediction. You got to pick everything. All right. So what are so you got the Bills, Bengals, Colts, and Chiefs, you said. So who are your 3 wild cards?
I'm going to go Chargers, Broncos, and then either the Steelers or the Rams, or the Steelers or the Ravens. I mean,
okay.
I'd probably be the Ravens, but I'm a homer, so I got to throw the Steelers in there. Just put it in the air a little bit.
Okay. Well, actually, I was very similar. I had the Chargers winning the division, the West, but the Chiefs being a wild card. I also had the Ravens as a wild card, and my 7th wild card team was Miami, but I begrudgingly picked them there. I couldn't decide. The 6 were easy, I felt, and then the 7th, I was begrudgingly picking the Dolphins. So, but
yeah, I had a really tough time deciding between the Chargers and the Chiefs on who's going to win that division. I love the changes Chargers made to the defense. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Chiefs might take a little bit of time to gel, and so like if I have them getting upset week 1 against the Arizona, that's going to hurt. So, okay, so you want to give us your AFC champion?
Yeah, I got a quick question for you. Is it mathematically possible for 4 teams to make it in the playoffs?
In a division?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't. I gotta think so because they only play 6 division games. So I mean, in theory,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
could run
you're
the.
right. Yeah,
In theory, you could lose all 6 division games and run the table in the rest of the games and be 11-6, right?
yeah, yeah, you're right.
So it's got to be. I mean, is it likely? I think it's very unlikely. But I mean, is it mathematically possible? I think so.
I think this is the most likely chance we'll see of it that I can remember at least. Of
Oh
four
yeah.
teams being so good in a division.
Well, because they finally have there's enough teams. I mean, before, if you think about it, when there were only 6 teams making the
Yeah,
playoffs, you
that's
couldn't
what.
do it.
Okay,
So,
that's where I
but
was getting
but
confused.
even then, like it was hard to make. You rarely got 3 teams in a comp. You never had like 2 teams in the wild card game. Back in the day, who were in the same division. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't happen. It's hard. Or same, yeah, it's just hard. I mean, usually they used to be, when they had 5 teams and 14 in the division, they beat each other up, and
yeah.
there weren't enough games to compensate that over. So okay, so who do you got as your AFC champion?
For my AFC champion, it's going to be the defending Super Bowl. Or wait, you said AFC?
Yeah, AFC.
But sorry, I was getting confused there. Buffalo Bills.
Okay, all right. So now let's do the NFC. So give us your NFC divisions.
I got the Rams, the Eagles, the Buccaneers, and I'm gonna surprise some people here with the Vikings.
Ooh, okay. I had Green Bay, but I feel dirty about. I don't like that pick, but I couldn't. But I didn't. I really didn't think the Vikings were going to make it. So
I
okay,
just
so
looked at last year. They were in so many 3-point games. It seemed like they were losing by a last second field goal every other week, and usually that's the team that makes the playoffs the following year. So I'm kind of hoping on that.
okay, yeah, coaching change too.
Yeah, yeah,
I know Jeff
will
the
help a
Champ, who's
lot.
a big Vikings fan. I mean, I don't think he'd have Mike Zimmer walk his dog. So honestly, so we'll see. All right, so who are your three not three wild card teams in the NFC?
The 3 wild card teams will be the Packers, the Cowboys, and the Niners.
Ooh, okay. Well, I have all those wild card teams different. I have Arizona, New Orleans, and Carolina.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah. I feel like I felt like Philly, Tampa, the Rams, and Green Bay were pretty easy picks. I didn't like making the Green Bay pick, but I thought they were easy. Then I just see the wild card teams as kind of a huge drop off
Yeah, and
from
to be fair,
there.
I didn't go through the schedules and predict records or
No, I didn't do
anything.
that
I
either.
just kind of, so I don't know who all they're playing and what strength of schedule, but that's who I'm going with.
Yeah, I can't do that. That's too much. How are you going to predict who's going to win week 13 now? I mean, it's a guess.
Yeah.
It's a total guess. All right. Who is your NFC champ?
Oh man. I think it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think we'll go
Okay.
with them. Tom Brady will get back to the Super Bowl.
And this time, who wins the Super Bowl?
The Buffalo Bills.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
um,
Thank you, Chris Berman.
yeah. I think it's their time. It just seems like they got a great team. It's all gelling together. They got the young receivers that are up and coming. Good defense. So I'm excited for Buffalo this year.
Okay. Well, I had the Bengals and Rams in a rematch, and I have the Bengals winning the rematch. That's my prediction. So
I would not
interesting.
mind seeing that.
Yeah. I got to wonder, did Chris Berman make his picks, and did he pick Buffalo against the 49ers in the Super Bowl? I didn't see
I'm not
anything where he
sure.
did. He had to have. I'll have to look it up. So, all right. So last thing, since we're running close here, do you want to give us your quick MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Comeback Player of the Year?
Yeah, my MVP is between Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, but I'm gonna give Josh Allen the edge just because I got them as the Super Bowl champs. Rookie of the year is probably I got to go Damon Pierce. I just think he's going to get the most work out of all the rookies. I do like Drake London a lot, and then comeback player of the year, I'm gonna go Allen Robinson.
Okay. Okay. You can check the live stream for mine. So, last thing we're going to do is we're going to say, what are we looking for in week 1? So, we don't have a ton of time to cut under an hour. So, give me 1 or 2 things that you are, besides football just being back in general, that what you want to see this week.
I'm very interested in the Patriots Dolphins game. Both of the offenses intrigue me a lot. I'm very curious to see how they perform. So that one I'm going to have a close eye on. And then obviously the Steelers game. I said in my article, I feel like Mitch Trubisky kind of got a bad rap in Chicago. Not saying he's a top 10, top 15 quarterback, but I do think he can be serviceable and put the Steelers in a good position throughout the season.
Okay. Okay. Um, I I think I'm also looking forward to. I don't know if I'm looking for it. I'm not looking forward to seeing the Patriots offense. It's got the potential to be a dumpster fire, and I guess my expectations are that it's going to be a dumpster fire. And if it's not a dumpster fire, I'm going to be very happy. Of course, I picked them to win, but I have to pick them to win because it's week one and it's Bill Belichick. But I could also see that game being like 12-10, where the Patriots kick 4 field goals.
Yeah, yeah, wasn't surprised. They both have solid defenses.
Yeah, could you not see that? I could see that game as literally like 10-9, and like Mac leads the Patriots down to like the 35-yard line somehow, and Nick Folk kicks a 53-yarder at like with like 35 seconds left, and they win 12-10, and like but without a single touchdown. So I'm looking for that. I'm not looking. That's why it doesn't say what am I looking forward to, because I'm really not looking forward to seeing that. If their offense is a dumpster fire, I'm really not looking forward to seeing it. And in contrast, even though I know they have good defenses, I think this Buffalo Rams game, this could just be a track meet.
Oh yeah, it's going to be. They picked the perfect game to start the season with. The only other game on this slate I'd have picked would have been Chargers Raiders. Just because of the storylines of that would have been fun to watch with Devontae Adams and all that coming to Vegas. But yeah, they picked the perfect game to open the season this year.
They did I mean, if you look, like when Tampa played the Patriots, they waited for week 4 last year. I mean, they loaded week 1 with so many stories. You got Russell Wilson coming back. You've got, like you said, the Rams and the Bills, which could be. I mean, it's your Super Bowl preview, effectively. Oh no,
Yeah.
you picked the Tampa Bay.
Bucks,
but
yeah.
how many people have Buffalo Rams as their Super Bowl pick?
Probably a lot. I had a hard time not going there.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, it could be the first game of the year and it could be the last game of the year, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. Very
that would
weird.
Be pretty cool.
That would be very weird too, right? I mean, so they've got those storylines. I mean, and then you've got Baker coming back to playing Carolina. When they set up the schedule, they're like, okay, Baker hasn't officially been traded yet, but boy, it's a good chance he's going to play Carolina, and we have to schedule him. Let's just throw that in week 1.
Yeah.
And see if it happens, because it would have been far less fun if it was like week 6, right?
Right. Yeah.
But week 1, yeah. I mean, and then I'm looking. The last thing I'm looking for to see what the attendance is at the Commanders Jacksonville game, because that place is a dump. Both teams are terrible. Nobody wants to go to those games anymore. It's not going to be a sellout, and I don't even know what the seating capacity of that place used to be 90,000, and now it's down to like 65,000. If they get over 50 grand there, I'll be impressed. So
yeah, I've heard some horror stories about that place. I definitely want to check it out before they leave.
You do not want to check it out. Trust me on that. It's not like you can go to Wrigley Field and you can go to Fenway, and sometimes they used to be worse, but like they had at least they had their charm. Like you knew why they had silly things in there, and they were old and stuff like that. Like FedEx Field is literally like if you went to a buddy's house and you found out like he had the cheapest contractor ever, and like you go in and there's walls peeling and like the bathroom has issues, and you just feel bad for your friend. Like, why did you buy this house, man? I mean, it's like that. You don't look forward to going to there because it's like, something bad's you just worry that the house is going to fall down. That's FedEx Field. I mean, we'll see. But we probably shouldn't finish on that. So let's finish on something positive. What do you got for positive for something I'm looking forward to? Let's not end on my dump talking about FedEx Field as a dump.
The Chargers Raiders, that game's going to be so much fun to watch. It's just Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams. It's going to be Starfield. I'm excited to see the Chargers offense this year and kind of how they utilize Mike Williams with that new contract versus Keenan Allen. It should be a lot of fun.
Okay. Okay. I agree. It's sad because I'm fortunate that I have the Sunday ticket, but there's like 3 games you could watch in that 4 o'clock, Eastern, the late games is, there's 4 games and 3 of them are barn burners.
Yeah.
You got Green Bay, Minnesota, you got Kansas City, Arizona. I know some people don't think but I still think 2 great young quarterbacks. That's a good game. And the one Vegas against the Chargers. 2 humongous division games and then 2 of the best young quarterbacks out there. So Those are great games. All right. So watch on. So we're going to wrap it up here. Watch on Wednesday to see if you win the Justin Jefferson jersey. And then if you want to draft a Dynasty owner team, there's some for the love of the game leagues on Saturday. You can actually do that. This is recorded on Thursday. So like our predictions for the Thursday night games could be totally wrong. So if you listen to this Friday morning in your car or at work, laugh when you hear like how bad some of our predictions were, possibly, or you can applaud us for how good they were. Listen to the Champions podcast, which comes out on Mondays. You've got the 3 Chase of the Ring champions, Eddie, Victor, and Jeff. They talk about Dynasty owner, and you're getting great information from 3 of the most knowledgeable people out there about it because they were the best for the past 3 years. Those guys each year were one of the best. And if you're in Dynasty owner, set your lineups, get it ready. You might join them. If you want to be the 4th voice on that Champions podcast next year, you got to win your league. You got to win the ring, right?
Yeah, sure do.
So anything else? It's week 1. We're very excited. It's very, very, very soon.
I'm just ready for some ribs and some drinks later on.
Excellent. All right. Enjoy your ribs. Enjoy your drinks. Enjoy the games, everybody. Have a great week.